All right, we are live. Let's go. Let's share the screen. And today we're talking about rocket design. Let's see what we can find. We had some very interesting. We had some very interesting stuff going on with Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, and let's continue. Let's see where we can get with more about a rocket and the interesting goal of making humans a cosmic civilization. Let's see. Payload capture mechanism, fuel, oxygen, pump and valves, combustion chamber, spark ignites core which burns from. So this was interesting. Like what Konstantin Tsiolkovsky he wrote about rockets in around 1923 or 1906. I feel somewhere on that. Yeah. What he wrote about rockets and the design that he made around 1906, it was very interesting that 50 years later, when we actually made rockets, the rockets that were sent to moon, they actually looked very similar to that. So yeah, he was a pioneer in design. Oh, this is a German missile. Now we need rockets. Complex field that integrates principles of physics, engineering, material science to create vehicles capable of reaching space or performing specific missions. The design of a rocket begins with understanding its mission, whether it's for satellite deployment, human spaceflight, or interplanetary travel. Each mission has unique requirements. Payload capacity. The rocket must be able to lift the required payload into the desired orbit or trajectory. For instance, the Space Launch System was designed to carry at least 130 metric tons to support human missions to Mars. Space Launch System was designed to carry at least 130 metric tons to support human missions to Mars. The type of orbit, low Earth orbit, geostationary, influences the rocket design, particularly in terms of energy needed to achieve the orbit. I also recently saw one of the streams of, uh, what is it, Falcon 9? I saw one of the streams of Falcon 9 um, deploying deploying the payload by Space 42. I think it's Middle Eastern company, and deploying that payload into an orbit. It was interesting to see how it works. They they go they have this launch, it goes straight up, then it bends, and then it goes across, and then it just floats around the Earth until it reaches the orbit, and then it deploys slowly. That's very interesting. It would be interesting to understand what's exactly happening over there and why are certain things, like what is the reason why certain decisions are made over there. The type of orbit influences the rocket design, particularly in terms of the energy needed to achieve the orbit. Propulsion. Types of propellants. Rockets can use either liquid or solid propellants. Liquid fuel rockets, like those used in Saturn V, offer better control over thrust but are more complex. Solid fuel rockets are simpler and lighter but cannot adjust thrust once ignited. Hmm. Rockets can use either liquid or solid propellants. What would be a solid propellant? Hmm. Liquid fuel rockets, like those used in Saturn V, offer better control over thrust but are more complex. Solid fuel are simpler and lighter but cannot adjust thrust once ignited. Cannot adjust thrust once ignited. Okay. Efficiency of a rocket's propulsion system is measured by its specific impulse, which indicates how effectively the rocket uses its propellant. Higher specific impulse means better fuel efficiency. Hmm. Impulse. Impulse basically means, hmm, it's interesting. It's similar to power. It's not about force, it's about force divided by time. You gotta impact it really fast so that you actually get the acceleration. So you can apply the same force slowly, or you can apply the same force really, really fast. And when you apply it really, really fast, that generates more power, which means more acceleration. It's interesting, like when you actually look at all these things around us just in terms of simple equations, it makes so much sense. Actually, I need to see what's the relationship between what's the equation of power. So we know power. Power is force. Okay, what is force? Force is mass times acceleration. Oh, we got it. Force is mass into acceleration. So mass of the body and the acceleration. How much is the speed increasing per second? How much is the speed increasing per second? Okay. Mass times acceleration divided by time, that is power. So what's the relationship between power and acceleration? Okay, we got it. So what's the relationship between power and acceleration? Directly proportional to mass. The more mass you have, the more power is generated. Actually, yeah, the more acceleration you have, the more power. So the more power is equal to more acceleration. Makes sense? Interesting. Okay. We kind of went into a tangent over there, but let's see. Propulsion. Specific impulse mass ratio. This is the ratio of the rocket's initial mass, including fuel, to its final mass. That is interesting. Acceleration times mass. If you want high power and you want more acceleration, then you have to reduce mass. Hmm. Rocket's initial mass to its final mass after fuel is expended. A higher mass ratio indicates a more efficient design since more of the rocket's mass is devoted to propellant. Right, right. When you start the rocket, you are just full of fuel, and as you're burning rocket, you're getting accelerated. Your fuel is burning, so you're losing mass, you're getting more acceleration, and you're getting more acceleration because of the thrust generated, but also because of the fact that the mass of the body is actually reducing. So that's very interesting. That's where you need like integration and differentiation equations. Structural designs, materials, lightweight yet strong materials are used to minimize structural mass while withstanding the stresses of launch and flight. Staging, multi-stage rockets to discard stages as fuel is depleted. Mm. Reducing the mass that needs to be accelerated, thereby improving efficiency. Thereby improving efficiency. Hmm. The shape of right, because mass and acceleration are inversely proportional. That makes sense. So if you have used up all the fuel, and now this second stage two is just empty, just throw that body because now you have reached a certain acceleration, and you can maintain that acceleration. And because your mass is less, you might need you might accelerate even further using even lesser fuel. So that's interesting. Okay. Reducing the mass that needs to be accelerated, thereby improving efficiency. Aerodynamics. The shape of the rocket affects its stability and drag. Fins, for instance, can provide stability, and the overall design must minimize drag to maximize performance. Stability and control. Center of gravity and center of pressure. The rocket must be designed so that the CG is ahead of the CP. Center of gravity is ahead of the center of pressure. I'm guessing pressure is exactly at the point where it might be either the point where the fuel is burned, or when the fuel is burned. So where the fuel is burned, let's say combustion chamber, it might be either the combustion chamber. Yeah, it could be the combustion chamber, right? The combustion chamber. Techniques like the cardboard cutout method or software simulations are used to determine these points. We'll look into it further. What is a center of pressure? Guidance system. Modern rockets use sophisticated guidance systems to control their flight path, adjusting for wind, gravity, and other external forces. We have seen those in the space. You have more like, what is it, vacuum? Just air. They just operate with, yeah, throwing a gas. It's all about like when you're operating over there. It's all about um, action. What is the second law of Newton? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's all about the second law of Newton, second Newton's law, second law of Newton, uh, laws of motion, second law of motion, second law of Newton's laws of motion, second Newton law of motion. Right. Wow. And it's all about that. Like, oh, you want to go in that direction? So yeah, push out some gas over here. Recovery systems, parachutes, used for slowing down descent after mission completion. Right. Break apart design. Some designs allow the rocket to break into pieces that flutter back to Earth, reducing descent speed. Baffles installed to manage the ejection charge, and protect the recovery system for debris. Historical and evolutionary design. From the Congreve rockets used in military applications to the V 2 rocket, which was a significant step in rocket technology. Hmm. Congreve rockets. The Saturn V design for the Apollo mission exemplifies the pinnacle of rocket design for its time with its ability to send humans to the moon. Cost and efficiency. The choice of materials, propulsion systems, and manufacturing techniques all impact the cost. Rockets are designed to be as efficient as possible in terms of the fuel usage, structural mass, and payload. Actually, let's go into this. So, what all things had to fall into place, and what all things had to go right for humans for to send humans to space. Interesting. Require a confluence of numerous factors, technological advancements, and strategic decisions to align perfectly. Political will and funding. The Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union was a significant driving force. Political will make sense. The Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union was a significant driving force. The political desire to demonstrate technological superiority led to the substantial funding and prioritization of space programs. The Apollo program, for instance, was a massive financial commitment, costing approximately 25.4 billion, about 152 billion in 2020 dollars. This is crazy. This is crazy because I think it's mostly about alignment. It's mostly about political will and alignment because today we are spending pretty much the same amount of money. We are like 152 billion is not a lot of money. Like we spend a lot of money, but is the work really being done? That's interesting. Rocketry. So alignment, support, one mission. That is really important. Smart people. We have a lot of smart people. Rocketry. Development of powerful rockets like the Saturn V or Apollo was crucial. These rockets needed to be reliable, capable of lifting heavy payloads, and safe for human travel. Development of powerful rockets like the Saturn V or Apollo was crucial. These rockets needed to be reliable, capable of lifting heavy payloads, and safe for human travel. The design of spacecraft like the Apollo Command and Service Module and Lunar Module had to be robust with systems for life support, navigation, communication, and re entry. Had to be robust and systems for life support, navigation, communication, and re entry. Advances in propulsion technology, including the development of liquid fueled engines, were essential for achieving the necessary thrust and efficiency. Lightweight yet strong materials were developed to minimize structural mass while withstanding the stresses of launch and space travel. The choice of lunar orbit rendezvous, rendezvous, lunar orbit rendezvous for Apollo was crucial, allowing for uh, it's actually crazy. Like how do you say that in English? Rendezvous, rendezvous, lunar orbit rendezvous for Apollo was critical, allowing for a more efficient use of resources and reducing the mass to be launched from Earth. Hmm. Reducing the mass to be launched from Earth. We don't know what's happening over there. What is the lunar orbit rendezvous? Training and simulation. Extensive. And why did we use a lot of French terms for these scientific? Was it because French were the first one to name them? Or was it because we just didn't have better words to explain them in English? So we just leveraged French words. Or was it because a bunch of smart scientists in US were French? So they just gave it a name that they understood. Hmm. Interesting. Extensive, because this is definitely not an English word. Like we don't even say this in an English way. We don't say rendezvous, uh, rendezvous. Training and simulation. Extensive training for astronauts, including simulations for space conditions, was necessary to prepare them for the challenges of spaceflight. After the Apollo 1 fire, NASA implemented numerous safety improvements, including changes to the spacecraft's atmosphere and hatch design. Space exploration required the integration of what is happening? Integration of knowledge from physics, engineering, biology, medicine, and more. Physics, engineering, biology, medicine, and more. This is interesting. This is interesting. Over 2 million people contributed to Project Mercury alone. Engineers and scientists had to solve complex problems like spacecraft rendezvous, docking, and re entry. Collaboration. While the Cold War spurred competition, also led to collaboration, as seen in the Apollo Soyuz test project, which marked a significant step in international space collaboration. The space race pushed both superpowers to innovate rapidly, leading to breakthroughs in technology and space exploration. Public's fascination with space provided the necessary support for funding and political will. Live broadcasts of space missions, especially the moon landings, captured global attention, reinforcing the importance of space exploration. The tragic loss of Apollo 1 crew led to significant safety enhancements, need for resilience and adaptability in the face of setbacks. The near disaster of Apollo 13 showcased the importance of contingency planning and the ability to improvise solutions under extreme conditions. Space exploration required a long term commitment with programs like Apollo spanning over a decade. Even as Apollo concluded, plans for future space exploration like the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station were already in motion. Hmm. The successful sending of humans to space was not just a technological triumph, but a testament to human ingenuity, perseverance, and the ability to mobilize resources on an unprecedented scale. Every aspect from the political landscape to the smallest engineering detail had to align perfectly to make these historic missions possible. Hmm. Earth reliant proving ground, Mars ready. Okay, so NASA too thought that they would go to Mars. Mission 6 to 12 months, 1 to 12 months, and 2 to 3 years. Mars. Getting to Mars takes 2 to 3 years. Wow. Mastering fundamentals aboard the International Space Station. US companies provide access to low Earth orbit, return to Earth days, return to Earth hours, return to Earth months. Why is the return shorter than the mission? Mm, because maybe you just have to fall. Expanding capabilities by visiting an asteroid redirected to a lunar distant retrograde orbit. Traveling beyond low Earth orbit with the Space Launch System. Developing planetary independence by exploring Mars, its moons, and other deep space destinations. This is interesting. Like, we as humans are always looking for independence. And then once we all have individually found our independence, then you look for, let's say, global independence, that, oh, now you can live in any country. And then you're looking for planetary independence, that, oh, what if we can just live on any planet? The milestone of space exploration. Sputnik launch 57, first man in space, Gagarin, Yuri Gagarin. Moon landing, space station, Mars landing, space shuttle 81, Hubble telescope, first space tourist, rise of SpaceX, wow. Comet landing, moon to Mars. The history of space exploration. Space shuttle Challenger. accident, Hubble Space Telescope placed into orbit, International Space Station, Space Shuttle Columbia, the rover opportunity. First successful flight of the company SpaceX. The Americans commit to the returning to the moon in 2024. China lands probe on moon. Valentina Tereshkova, first woman. I've heard of this name before. We used to have this in a GK, general knowledge course. Laika, the first animal, 57, 1957. Sputnik. How to stay mentally healthy in space? Physical health, just like you stay on Earth. Health, wealth, relationships. Physical health, go to the gym, eat well, meditate for a bit, social activities, training and preparation, psychological and medical support, technologies, environment. Astronauts have access to devices with their favorite movies, shows, books, playlists, podcasts, and audiobooks. Internet phones and virtual reality allow them to stay connected. Yeah, just like how to stay mentally healthy in space, just like you do on Earth. Astronauts have a stressful, high pressure job that can be mentally draining. There are various strategies, tools, and training to help them stay mentally healthy. Radiation, cancer, cognitive, visual, cardiac, gravity field, bone loss, muscle atrophy, wow, oxidative stress, hostile close environment, circadian rhythm, immunodeficiency, infections, hypercapnia, confinement, sleep disruption, fitness, nutrition, mood. Yeah, mood is a big thing. Distance, limited healthcare, mental stress. Wow. Asteroids that could hit the Earth, key parts of the Earth's climate system, scientific research to increase knowledge of space, adapted for their uses, right? Conduct research on how space travel affects human health, materials that could be used on Earth, life and planets that could support life, human astronauts to explore the moon, human astronauts to explore Mars. So Mars is the least priority. Wow. Wow. What are some interesting insights we found by landing on Mars? Let's see. Evidence of ancient water. Numerous fascinating insights revealing a planet with dynamic past and present. Right. They also have their own past. Thousands of years. Thousands of years. Millions of years. Crazy. Heat flow probe. Whoa. Instrument context camera, grapple, rise antenna, UHF antenna, pressure, inlet, temperature, wind seasons. Okay, okay. Interesting. Opportunity rovers, blueberries. The Opportunity rover discovered small spherical deposits of hematite, nicknamed blueberries, which typically form in water. River channels and deltas strongly suggest that Mars once had liquid water on its surface, potentially creating conditions suitable for life. Curiosity's river evidence from the Perseverance rover show signs of what was once a deep, fast-moving river in Jezero crater, indicating a network of waterways that could have supported life. The Curiosity rover detected organic molecules and rock samples from Gale crater, suggesting that Mars could have once supported living organisms. Mars could have once supported living organisms. These compounds are considered building blocks for life. Curiosity's SAM instrument. Fluctuations in methane levels in the Martian atmosphere were detected, which could be produced by both biological and geological processes, making this discovery intriguing in the search for life. Ancient lake beds. Curiosity's exploration revealed evidence that Gale crater was once filled with liquid water, forming an ancient lake, supporting the idea of past habitable environments. Curiosity's find pure sulfur rocks, ancient lake beds. In 2024, Curiosity discovered rocks made of pure sulfur, an unexpected find that could have significant implications for understanding Mars' geological history and potential for past life. Hot spring. Spirit found soil. Spirit's discovery. Wait, how many rovers do we have? Spirit, Perseverance, Curiosity, Opportunity? Wow. Soil contained 90% pure silica. Oh, Silicon Valley. And home plate, suggesting past hot springs or steam vents, environments where life often thrives on Earth. Ancient volcanic activity. Evidence of ancient volcanic eruptions at home plate indicates that Mars once had powerful steam eruptions from heated underground water, potentially supporting microbial life. Martian meteorites on Earth. Viking landers confirmation. Martian atmosphere by the Viking landers confirmed that certain meteorites found on Earth originated from Mars, providing valuable Martian rock samples for study. Certain meteorites found on Earth originated from Mars, providing valuable Martian rock samples for study. Oh, okay. So there were meteorites that were on Earth. It was confirmed that they originated from Mars. So now we have rock samples on Earth that we can study, and then we can be like, oh, this is how the atmosphere was. Long-term observations by rovers have contributed to our understanding of Mars' shifting polar ice caps, part of the planet's complex climate system. The InSight lander equipped with sensitive instruments has provided data on Mars seismology, revealing a planet more active than previously thought. It detected quakes, magnetic pulses, and whirlwinds, offering insights into the planet's interior structure and geological activity. The Viking landers recorded atmospheric pressures, wind speeds, and detected nitrogen in the atmosphere, leading to the conclusion about Mars' atmospheric variability and past climate conditions. Analysis of data from InSight suggests that magnetism at the landing site is 10 times stronger than expected, likely due to the magnetized rocks deep beneath the surface. Magnetized rocks deep beneath the surface. Organic compounds, methane, lake beds, sulfur rocks, hot springs, volcanic activity, meteorites, polar ice caps, seismic activity, more active than previously thought. Geological history. Hmm. How many rovers have. Oh, Leonard on Mars. Mars rover 71 to 2021. Zhurong from China. Spirit, NASA. June, Mars astronaut. Curiosity. Ingenuity. Opportunity. Whoa. Spirit and opportunity by numbers. 6 years lifespan. Oh, so which one is spirit? Which one is opportunity? 217 raw images. 28 miles traveled. 28 miles. Is that a lot? 4.8 miles traveled, 30-degree steepest slope, 32 degrees steepest slope. With the robotics, with the humanoids and robotics that we have today, wow, wow, look at the potential. Like if these rovers can only travel, okay, this information is from 2019, 28 miles. I'm guessing that they have There's so much land to cover. There's so much more land to cover. You just need a bunch of Optimus robots. You just have to throw them in multiple spots and just keep walking, and keep capturing data. Or maybe you just land a bunch of Teslas over there or cybercabs. Yeah, you land a bunch of cybercabs with two Optimuses in them, and you just drive around, and just like how Google have those Google cars that are capturing the Google Maps data. You just have these cybercabs who are just constantly capturing high quality data all the time. You're just capturing this high quality data all the time. That is really cool. That is really cool. And then for specific things, if you find something very interesting, you're like, hey, Optimus, get out and check that out. Check what's there. And then the Optimus actually picks up the rocks and like stores in the cyber cab, and they're like, let's go. Wow. Cruise state separation, atmospheric entry, peak heating, peak deceleration, guided entry, parachute deploy, 6 to 8 miles. Okay. 240 seconds. Heat shield separation. Okay, there's a heat shield. It separates. Radar lock. Imagine we land on Mars and we're just finding a bunch of like space debris and satellite debris that from NASA that we sent. Like, yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy if we, yeah, because all this stuff is just there. Like the entire planet of Mars is just occupied a bunch of space debris that NASA sent and SpaceX sent. There are a bunch of like dead Optimus robots over there. That would be crazy. Radar lock, terrain relative navigation solution, rover separation. Whoa! So they literally back shell separation. Oh, so heat shield is removed, the back shell is removed. This is 2.5 miles, okay. And you literally throw the rover, and the rover is just flying. Sky crane flies away. Jezero crater. Wow, really cool. Really cool. Sojourner, part of NASA's Pathfinder mission, it was the first rover to successfully drive on the surface of another planet. Drive on the surface of another planet. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right here. Baby. It's a baby. Look at it. What is this? Oh, Sojourner. Then we give it more hands. Hmm. Zhurong. China's first successful rover on Mars landed in May 21 and is exploring Utopia Planitia, vast basin in the planet's northern hemisphere. Latest rover, Perseverance, landed on Mars on February 21, equipped with a small helicopter called Ingenuity, which became the first human made object to successfully fly on the surface of another planet. Curiosity, most famous rover. It has been operational since its landing in 2012, providing unprecedented data on Martian geology, climate, and the presence of water. Opportunity. The other twin rover, it worked for nearly 15 years on Mars, breaking the driving record for the most miles on its odometer, ending its mission on February 2019. Wow, 15-year run. Crazy. Spirit. Twin rovers lasted 20 times longer than its original design, concluding its mission in 2010, 6 years. Wow. Curiosity. How many miles has Curiosity rover traveled on Mars? Wow. It has been operational since its landing in 2012, providing an unprecedented data on Martian geology, climate, in the presence of water. Unprecedented, out of this world record. So opportunity, curiosity, curiosity has only traveled 20 kilometers. What? Science.nasa.gov. When was this data published? This was published in 2019. Okay. So opportunity was already 2019. So obviously opportunity finished 15 years and had traveled 45 kilometers. That's still less. That's still nothing. We're talking about a planet. 45 kilometers is just like one city. Wow. We still just know about a city on Mars, a small city. 50 kilometers is nothing. Wow. There's so much more to go. There is a USSR rover. Okay. We got the Apollo rovers. We got Curiosity. Imagine being in one of these rovers on the moon, driving and looking down at the Earth. That would be crazy. When we are on Earth, moon looks small because moon is smaller. But when you are on moon, Earth is big. So Earth looks massive in the sky. Will look massive in the sky. We don't know if this is AI generated. Curiosity. Okay, self-portrait by Curiosity at the foot of Mount Sharp. And they just started to name things. It's a mountain on Mars. Curiosity, wow, just 32 kilometers. And it's been operational for 10 years. 10 years, 32 kilometers. What? What is a total? And that's the total distance. What are the main challenges? So we still don't know much. We know nothing. We know nothing. Yellowknife Bay, Bradbury Landing, Traverse Bar Descent Blast Zone. Curiosity has faced steep slopes, slippery sand, and wheel sized rocks, making navigation difficult. For instance, in 23, it encountered a particularly challenging climb with a 23-degree incline, which required a detour to avoid further damage to its wheels. The rover wheels have suffered from the harsh Martian terrain with sharp rocks causing punctures and tears. This has led to a need for careful route planning to minimize further damage. Oh, hmm. Imagine going on Mars and being like, oh, this is just like being on a beach or being on a desert. Gale crater, Aeolus Mons, Mount Shore, possible traverse area, the journey up to the slopes. Trek to date, MSR Curiosity rover landing eclipse, space station landing point. So we are only exploring MSL Curiosity rover inside Gale crater Mars. 18,000 feet elevation change. Wheel damage, line of sight issues. The rover's high gain antenna must be pointed directly Height gain antenna must be pointed directly at Earth for communication. However, terrain features like mountains can block line of sight, making direct communication challenging. Particularly pronounced when Curiosity was exploring Geddes Palace Channel. Position of Earth in the Martian sky changes with the seasons, affecting the ease of communication. During certain times, Earth appears lower in the sky, increasing the likelihood for increasing the likelihood of signal obstruction. Planning routes based on orbital images can be misleading, as these images don't provide detailed information on the terrain's steepness or the presence of boulders. This necessitates on the spot adjustments and detours. Constantly assess the terrain for hazards like deep sand, unstable rock formations, and potential obstacles that could damage the rover or impede its progress. Wow. Wow. It's crazy that humans have sent something so far from home, and they are still able to control it. It's very slow, but you're still trying to control it. Experience computer glitches such as an attitude problem, attitude or altitude, altitude problem in 2020, where it lost its orientation, requiring intervention from Earth to correct. The 7 minutes of terror involved complex maneuvers to slow down from 13,000 miles per hour to zero, requiring perfect timing and execution. Mars' atmosphere is thin, making it difficult to slow down the rover during entry, descent, and landing. This requires a combination of aerodynamic drag parachutes and rockets. Temperature extremes. Martian environment presents extreme temperature variations which can affect the rover's electronics and mechanical system. While not a challenge per se, the rover's mission to explore scientifically interesting areas like Geddes Palace Channel adds complexity to its navigation operations. Overcoming technical glitches. These challenges require constant innovation, careful planning, and a deep understanding of both the Martian environment and rover's capabilities. When is SpaceX planning to land on Mars? That is interesting. Like, if NASA has already landed rovers on Mars since 2004, I believe. 97, yeah. 97, it's been 25 years. So SpaceX can do it too. Okay, 97, they landed. SpaceX made the rockets. Like, they started making the rockets around, they started working on 2008. And then they, hmm, interesting, interesting. Planning to land its first uncrewed Starship missions on Mars in 26, aligning with the next Earth Mars transfer window. Oh, so you have to also wait for this uncrewed missions. Let's see. Launch five uncrewed starships to Mars during the 26 transfer window to test the reliability of landing on the red planet. If the uncrewed landings are successful, SpaceX plans to follow with crewed missions to Mars in about 4 years, potentially in the 28-29 launch window. Okay. So if they first figured out, so this happens every 2 years. Hmm. SpaceX plans to follow with uncrewed missions to Mars in about 4 years, potentially in 28-29. The ultimate goal is to establish a self-sustaining city on Mars within 20 years, with the flight rate growing exponentially after the initial missions. Mars and Earth align for efficient travel approximately every 26 months. Every 26 months, right? So almost, yeah, almost every 2 years. SpaceX misses the 26 window. The next opportunity would be late 28 into early 29. So they definitely don't want to miss it. Booster accelerates, ship tanker returns to launch site. Ship flies to Earth orbit. Tanker refills ship and returns to Earth. Whoa. Refilled and travels to Mars. Okay. And then you land on Mars. Ship refilled on Mars using local resources, methane and oxygen. Ship performs. Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. They can actually do this with Optimus. They can actually do this with Optimus. They take the rocket, they land it over there, bunch of Optimus come out, they establish the station, which is the fuel station. The fuel station is then used to fuel the rocket again, performs Mars ascent and direct return to Earth, and then returns. What are these? Tanker refills ship and returns to Earth. I don't understand these. Okay, so this booster tanker, right? Separation stage 2 is separated over here. Hmm. I don't understand this. How is it? What is happening over here? How is the transfer happening? Starship timeline. Okay, we had Starhopper, Starship, Starship flight test. Okay, Earth operations, Starship orbital flight, Artemis 1 uncrewed. That's NASA. Starship orbital. This is what they're talking about. Starship orbital fuel transfer. Starship orbital fuel transfer. Why didn't NASA need that? That would be interesting to know. Lunar campaign, lunar starship, Artemis 2 crewed, Dear Moon, okay, Artemis 3 landing, Mars cargo, 2 years slip, Mars cargo plus crew, 2 years slip, road to Mars, 26 months between Mars launch window. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Average distance from sun, temperature ranges minus 140 to 30. Ooh, interesting. Just stay between 20 to 30. That's perfect. Atmospheric composition. Okay. 96% CO2, less than 2% air. Okay. Force of gravity. So you're lighter. You're lighter on Mars. 62.5% less gravity. Day length. 24 hours, 40 minutes. Okay. Land mass. Almost the same. 97% of Earth. People. 7 billion. Zero. Robots. 4. Stage 2 got back. 2, 3. This goes up. There's this exchange happening. 6, 7, 8. Oh, what is 9? Fuel? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, fuel. Okay, we landed on Mars. Okay. 7, 8, refuel. 10, go, land. Okay, I didn't know about the stage 5 where there's a orbital fuel transfer. Tell me more about the Earth Mars transfer window. Let's see. Critical concept in space exploration, particularly for missions aiming to reach Mars. Earth Mars transfer window refers to the optimal time when Earth and Mars align their respective orbit around the Sun, allowing for an energy efficient launch of spacecraft to Mars. Based on the principle of the Hohmann transfer orbit, which is the most fuel efficient way to travel between the two orbits. Launching during this window allows spacecraft to use less fuel, reducing mission costs and enabling larger payloads. Launch during this window typically take about 6 to 8 months to reach Mars, significantly shorter than missions launched outside this window, which could take years. 6 to 8 months is not bad. Okay. The window ensures the spacecraft arrives at Mars when it is in the right position for a safe landing or orbital insertion. This elliptical path uses the least energy to transfer from Earth's orbit to Mars orbit. The spacecraft must launch. The spacecraft must launch when Mars is 42 degrees ahead of Earth in its orbit to arrive at the same point in Mars orbit when Mars is there. Let's see, what are we talking about? Okay, so here we're talking. Spacecraft leaves Earth. This is path of Mars. Transfer orbit to get to Mars. Spacecraft leaves Earth. Spacecraft. Mm, spacecraft arrives at Mars. Spacecraft arrives at Mars. Okay. And then it goes around. And then spacecraft leaves Mars. Spacecraft arrives at Earth. Okay. Okay. This makes sense. This makes sense. Easy, easy, easy peasy. Yeah, these are the two orbits, and you want a simple thing where you just go like this and reach here. That's it. So you just want to time it in a way that when you leave, you enter over here. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, launch at Earth, Mars at arrival. And Mars at launch would be here. You'd start almost over here, and then you will get over here. Perfect. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. So even though the distance over here is less, but you cannot do this because this would require a lot of fuel. Or yeah, why don't we do that? Like, what if you just go straight? Maybe you cannot do that. That requires a lot of fuel. If you like, we need so much abundance of energy that we could just go straight, whoop, and the problem is solved, right? Imagine like some rocket scientist looking at me talking about this, and they're like, "Look at this dumb guy. What is he talking about? You know how hard that is." Interesting. Okay. These windows are not just a single moment, but can last for a few weeks, with each day having a specific window of time, usually between 30 minutes to 2 hours for launch. Planets must be correctly aligned for the spacecraft to move efficiently from Earth's orbit to Mars orbit. If the launch is too early or too late, the spacecraft will miss Mars. Spacecraft will miss Mars. Wow. Orbital inclination. Earth and Mars orbit are slightly inclined relative to each other, which must be accounted for in mission planning. A home and transfer takes about 9 months, which can be a challenge for crewed missions due to supplies, crew health, and other factors. Missing the launch window means waiting for the next one, which could be over 2 years. SpaceX plans to launch its first uncrewed Starship missions to Mars in 2026, taking advantage of the transfer window to test landing reliability. If the uncrewed landing is successful, SpaceX aims to follow with crewed missions. What are the plans? Or not what are the plans? Let's see. How will SpaceX use Optimus humanoids for uncrewed Mars mission. Let's see. Very interesting. Plans to leverage its Optimus humanoid robots, also known as Tesla bots. Whoa. In several key ways. Hey, just keep saying Optimus. Terrain assessment will be deployed to explore and assess the Martian terrain, providing valuable data on surface conditions, potential hazards, and suitable landing sites for future missions. These robots will gather scientific data, including soil samples, atmospheric conditions, and geological features, which will be crucial for understanding Mars environment and preparing for human collaboration. What happened to the images? Five SpaceX starships to Mars in 26. Ooh, they're planning to send five starships. Okay. Landing pad construction. Optimus robots could be programmed to build landing pads, ensuring safer landings for subsequent missions by clearing debris and leveling the ground. Wow, wow. They are like your construction robots who are just going there and learning everything. Habitat construction. They might assist in setting up initial habitats or shelter using materials brought from Earth or sourced from Mars. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. I think they will soon start doing that. That hey, Optimus, go and make a landing site. Learn from here and go and now make a landing site. Crazy. Crazy. In situ resource utilization. Optimus robots will play a role in extracting and processing Martian resources, right? So that when the rocket has to fuel and go back to Earth, you have just generated your own energy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Like AI is not a small thing. It's a big, big thing. AI is a massive unlock. AI is a massive unlock for us. Methane production. Using the Sabatier reaction to produce methane from Martian carbon dioxide and hydrogen extracted from water ice. Mining Martian ice for water, which is essential for life support and fuel production. Creating oxygen from Martian resources for life support and propulsion. Optimus robots will deploy and set up equipment necessary for the mission, such as solar panels, communication system, and scientific instruments. Creating oxygen for life support and propulsion. Wow, wow. You just land there and you just have these Optimus who are ready to serve you, who are ready for you with everything. They're like, hey, where do you want to sit? What view would you like? Do you want Mount Sharp? Do you want to go to the top of the Mount Sharp? Let's hike there. They can perform routine maintenance tasks on equipment, ensuring its longevity and functionality in the harsh Martian environment. Right, they need to do that ASAP. They need to do that ASAP so that they can charge themselves. They're gonna charge themselves. Wow, wow. So Tesla will send a bunch of like Tesla power packs, bunch of Tesla power packs, and they just have to ensure that at any time there's at least one guy, one Optimus who is fully charged. Wow, wow. They would have a bunch of backups. And they would be like, okay, first you go and start doing the work. You too, go start doing the work. And obviously they will die. And you're like, okay, now you two go and start doing the work. They will die. You two go start doing the work. They will die. The third guy finally completes it. They're like, okay, now go fast and charge all of these guys. Crazy. Or they can just carry power banks. They want to make Optimus very energy efficient. And all these Optimus are talking to each other using Grok. Crazy. Okay. Optimus robots will deploy and set up equipment necessary for the mission, such as solar panels. We saw that. Equipment ensuring its longevity and functionality in the harsh Martian environment. Autonomous. While the robots will have some autonomy for basic tasks, they will require detailed programming and micromanagement for complex operations, especially during the initial missions. Over time, they could learn from their environment and adapt to new tasks, potentially reducing the need for constant human oversight. The presence of Optimus robots on Mars will serve as a publicity stunt, showcasing the capabilities of AI and robotics in space exploration, potentially increasing public interest and support for Mars colonization. Hmm. Tell me all about the design of Sputnik. Wow, we got a GIF. Fan diffuser, heat shield, remote switch, antenna, heat shield, silver zinc batteries, D200. This is how the rocket looked like. This reminds me of the scene from the movie Dictator where he's like, make it more pointy. They're like, no, pointy is bad for bad because that means more. Pointy is bad design, but he's like, no, but it looks good. Design of Sputnik 1. Launched on October 4, 1957, was the world's first artificial satellite, marking the beginning of the space age. Designed as a sealed spherical container with a diameter of 580 millimeters. You could have just said in centimeters. The sphere, which is 58 centimeters, which is zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6 meter. Yeah. The sphere was made from two hemispheres, each 2 millimeters thick, connected by 36 bolts. Resin O-rings ensured a hermetic seal between the hemisphere. What is hermetic seal? The satellite the satellite shell was constructed from an aluminum magnesium titanium alloy, which was highly polished to reflect sunlight, aiding in optical tracking from the ground. Hmm, highly polished, so it can reflect sunlight, and we know where it is at. Wow. The top hemisphere was covered with a 1 millimeter thick thermal protective shield to regulate internal temperature. Antenna. Okay, two pairs of whip-like antennas. One pair had 2.4 meter beams, and the other had 2.9 meter beams. Hmm. Were designed to deploy at an angle of 35 degrees from the main axis of the satellite immediately after separation from the rocket. Crucial for broadcasting radio signals on two different frequencies, ensuring that the signals could be received on Earth regardless of the satellite's orientation. Smart, obviouszero, really smart. Radio transmitter. A 1 watt radio transmitter was housed inside the satellite, emitting signals lasting zero point 0.4 seconds on wavelengths of 5, 7, and 15 meters. Okay. Silver zinc batteries powered the satellite. Two batteries were dedicated to the radio transmitter and one powered the temperature regulation system. These batteries had an expected lifetime of 2 weeks but operated for 22 days. Special fan was included to maintain normal temperature inside the satellite. It would activate if the internal temperature rose above 30 degrees Celsius and turn off when it fell below 20 to 23 degrees. Thermal switches controlled the system. Pressure drop, which would indicate a failure in the pressure vessel or puncture by a meteor. Scientific objectives: atmospheric density. By measuring the satellite's lifetime in orbit, radio equipment facilitated tracking and provided data on radio wave propagation through the atmosphere. The design included a verification of the satellite's pressurization scheme. Sputnik was launched using the R-7 Semyorka rocket, specifically adapted for this mission. The rocket had four strap-on boosters and a core stage with a total mass of 269.3 tons. A special transfer section was developed to connect the satellite to the rocket. The separation system first jettisoned the payload shroud, followed by the satellite itself, setting a precedent for future satellite design, simplicity, and reliability. Radio beeps and its visibility from Earth captured global attention. Radio beeps and visibility from Earth captured global attention, while its scientific data provided valuable insights into the upper atmosphere and ionosphere. Wow. What is the current status of Russia's space missions and developments. Let's see. Hmm. ISIS? No, no ISIS. ISS. Extended cooperation. Russia has extended its cross-flight program with NASA for the International Space Station until 2025. This is the International Space Station, looking very old over there. We got some spacewalkers. Wow. Yeah, look at you figure out the interesting design. This was the original design. It's kind of cool how this works. These things are supporting it. Then as it gets the thrust, move to the side. International Space Station is a massive entity and at so much risk. The more the bigger you are, it looks very delicate. The more delicate you are, the bigger risk, the bigger attack vector or attack surface area you are for meteoroids and asteroids. But it's crazy that they have been able to protect it. Extended cooperation. Extended its cross-flight program with NASA for the International Space Station until 25. This includes crewed Soyuz launches and progress resupply missions. Announced plans to withdraw from the ISS Project 25 with the intentions to notify its foreign partners of this decision. The timeline for departure remains uncertain, with Roscosmos indicating a possible exit in 28. Roscosmos. Roscosmos. Russian Orbital Service Station, ROS. Built its own space station with the first module expected to launch in 27. Aims to be operational by 2030 with a total estimated cost of 7 billion. Construction is contingent on the success of the Angara A5 rocket, and funding issues have been a concern. 150 billion rubles for the next 3 years. The next generation heavy lift Angara is crucial for ROS project. It has had three successful orbital flight tests since 2014 with a partial failure in 21. Continues to use Soyuz spacecraft for crewed launches and progress for resupply missions to the ISS. There have been incidents of coolant leaks, raising concerns about the reliability of these spacecraft. Plans to launch several missions, including Progress MS-33, Soyuz MS-29, all aimed at supporting the ISS. Lacks a robust commercial sector, which has been a significant challenge, especially with the loss of Western customers. Exploring partnership with countries like Brazil, India, China, and South Africa for its new space station. Announced plans for a joint lunar space station with China. Hmm, very interesting. All right, that's the stream. Thank you.